They laughed at Earth like it was a small joke told in a big room. They shared clips of old rockets and noisy launch pads and called it primitive fire. They said humans were late to the stars and would remain tourists forever. The feeds went viral across markets and stations and smoky taverns where aliens traded stories for credits. In those places they clinked strange glasses and said with soft smiles, "Humans try hard, but they are soft inside." The one who watched quietly was a human technician in a plain suit sitting at a corner table of a spinning station. He listened without raising his eyes. He paid for tea with worn credits, and he said only one line, "We are not what you think." The aliens at the next table chuckled. A silver-skinned trader leaned back and tapped the rim of his glass. "Not what we think, little Earth. I hope you mean you are weaker than we think." The human kept his face calm and replied, "I mean we are patient." The station's news wall suddenly brightened with the headline of a skirmish on the edge of a quiet system. A patrol of a proud empire had probed too close to Seoul. It was not unusual, it happened often. Ships came to measure humans and then returned to laugh. But the video this time showed something new. Black shapes rising from cold space, like shadows learning to move. The patrol hailed the Earth ships with mock concern. A voice came back in simple words. "Change course." The aliens laughed on the stream and said, "Make us!" Then the screen cut with static and returned to bright lines of light moving like spears through fog. The room went silent. The trader tilted his head. The human did not smile. He just sipped tea and said, "We asked politely." In another part of the galaxy, a council watched the same clip and called it a trick. "They have edited the footage," one said. "They are making drama," said another. Their robes glowed in soft colors. Their eyes were ancient and proud. A small advisor spoke with a careful tone. "Honored elders, my cousins saw the same light in the patrol wreckage. It was not drama." The elders waved hands. Pride made their fingers heavy. "If Earth had such ships, we would know," they declared. They did not know about shipyards under Earth's oceans, where silent cranes lifted hull plates in darkness. They did not know about dry docks hidden in the shadow of the moon, where engines were tested with no flame. They did not know about the quiet factories in stable orbit that wore clouds of dust like cloaks to hide from curious telescopes. The galaxy laughed because it thought humans were building with noise. But humans had learned to build with silence in that silence. Crews trained in emergency drills that never ended. Pilots learned to breathe slow and aim slower. Engineers wrote code with no signatures. And one old captain walked the length of a hangar whispering, "They do not see us." That night on the spinning station, the silver-skinned trader found the human again. The air smelled like metal and fruit. "You are a good actor," the trader said. "Your face is so calm for a man whose home is in danger." The human looked at the stars through a small window, where the station's shield made a faint ripple. "Danger is not new to us," he answered. "We grew up with storms and fires and quakes. We learned to rebuild with our hands." The trader grinned with pointed teeth. "But this is space, little Earth. Storms here are fleets." The human set down his cup and said quietly, "Storms are storms." The trader's smile faded. At the same moment, alarms blinked along the corridor. The broadcast pipes hissed. The station master's voice came low and strained. "Attention! A foreign fleet has warped near the Sol perimeter. All commerce feeds on delay." The corridor crowded with faces of many shapes. A child with soft antennae asked her mother, "Will the funny humans cry?" The mother hushed her. "Do not be cruel." But the words shook because she remembered the laughing news feeds too. Everyone turned to the wall screens like flowers turned to light. A live feed opened. The alien fleet's lead cruiser sent a bright and pretty wave of color. A kind of show they always used before they took what they wanted. The wave reached a cold shadow near Neptune and shattered like weak glass. Out of that shadow, a human ship glided forward with a hull that did not shine. It wore light like a cloak of night. A clear voice spoke on every channel. "Change course." The alien admiral smiled and answered, "No." The human voice said, "Understood." The first shot was not loud. There was no drum or trumpet. only a line that cut the darkness as if drawing a door. The door opened inside the alien cruiser, the feed flickered, and when it came back, the front of the cruiser was simply absent. Gone like a lie told at noon. People on the station gasped, and then held their breath. The trader whispered, "What did they use?" The human replied, "Something that works." Across the galaxy, more councils leaned forward. The elders' robes lost their soft glow as their skin flushed in surprise. A commander pointed at a data stream. "Their energy curve does not match any known profile." An analyst tapped a trembling screen. "Their aim correction has no delay. They see us as if we are standing still." The patrol fleet tried to spread, but the human ships moved like patient knives. One alien captain cried, "They are not fast. How are they everywhere?" His navigator choked. "They predicted us," and then his voice was gone. The station's crowd began to murmur, not in mockery now, but in fear and wonder. Someone said, "Humans are not supposed to do this." Someone else replied, "Maybe we were not supposed to laugh." The trader touched the human's sleeve with new respect. "If your people can do this, why hide?" The human looked tired in a way that did not show on his face. "Because we remember what happened when we did not. When we showed our strongest things early, someone older took them. This time we chose to be the punchline until the punch landed." The trader nodded slowly. "You waited for the right stage," the human said. "We waited for the right silence." At that moment, a message scrolled in simple text across the feed. It was not a threat. It was not poetry, it read. "Do not mistake kindness for weakness." The words hung there like a warning carved into stone. The alien fleet, now broken, tried one more gambit. They aimed not at ships, but at a beam of light that connected to a civilian relay. Perhaps the admiral believed humans would protect civilians and expose a flank. The human captain spoke. "We see your aim." Then the Armada shifted in a slow, deliberate arc and placed their own hulls between the beam and the relay. The next line on the feed read, "We do not step aside." The alien shot fired and died against a wall of invisible force that made the screens ripple. And then the human reply came with careful precision. The last hostile ship dimmed without fire, simply sleeping forever. Like a lamp blown out between breaths, the room exhaled. The station master's voice returned. Thin with awe, "Conflict ended, all lanes restored. Repeat." "Conflict ended," the child with antennae whispered. They did not cry. Her mother held her hand and said softly, "No, little star, they did not." The trader bowed his head to the human. "I mocked you, I was wrong." The human nodded. "You were not alone." Across councils and markets and smoky taverns, laughter faded into quiet. A new kind of talk began. It was not worship, it was not pure fear. It was the sober tone used for neighbors one must never underestimate. In a private channel, the old human captain walked again across the hangar. He spoke to his crew with a steady voice. "We will not gloat. We will not become what they were to us. We will move like a tide and leave room for peace." The crew answered in one sound that felt like a held breath turning into a promise. Somewhere far away, an elder in a once proud council folded his glowing robe and said to an empty hall, "They were patient." And the word patient felt heavier than any weapon. The human technician on the station finished his tea, set the cup down, and looked back at the window where the shield's ripple had smoothed into nothing. "We are not what you think," he said again, but this time he said it to the stars. And the stars at last did not laugh. They listened. The galaxy no longer laughed the same way as before. Voices that once mocked now spoke in whispers. Markets that showed old clips of humans fumbling with rockets had replaced them with new clips of silent black ships moving like shadows through the void. Yet many still refused to believe. Councils called the footage illusions, propaganda made to fool the weak. One warlord from a distant sector slammed his clawed hand on a polished table and shouted, "Humans cannot build such power. They were crawling on their dirt world only decades ago. They are a trick of smoke and mirrors." His advisors nodded because they feared him. But deep inside, they wondered if his anger came from fear rather than certainty. Meanwhile, far from those halls, Earth continued its work. Engineers whispered to each other in the dark hangars. Soldiers drilled in silence, and leaders spoke to no one beyond their own walls. Their message was simple: let them doubt. Every day they doubt is another day we prepare. A quiet meeting took place inside a station hidden near Saturn's rings. Long metal walls hummed with the sound of reactors. A commander in plain uniform stood before his crew, his voice calm. The first battle is finished, but they will test us again. They believe it was luck. They believe it was a single trick. They will come back. His officers exchanged looks. One young pilot asked, "And when they come back, do we fight again?" The commander nodded. "We fight, but we fight in a way they cannot predict." In another corner of the galaxy, the warlord who had dismissed the humans prepared his fleet, massive ships with thick armor and glowing red engines. His people cheered as he promised the galaxy a show. "I will burn away their illusion. I will drag their weakness into the light," he declared. And the crowd roared, yet behind closed doors. His navigators asked each other in low voices, "What if the humans are not weak? What if the stories are true?" One older navigator answered, "Then the warlord is already doomed." As his fleet began to move, signals spread across the galaxy. Traders whispered of the new test. Smugglers placed bets in hidden channels. Some said the humans would fold. Others said the warlord would fall. No one spoke with certainty. Not anymore. In the hidden station near Saturn, Earth's intelligence already knew of the warlord's plan. A coded message blinked across the commander's screen. Enemy fleet approaching outer rim, numbers heavy. Intent clear. The commander studied the stars with quiet eyes. "They are coming faster than expected," he murmured. One officer asked, "Do we hide? Do we wait for them to enter close orbit?" The commander shook his head. "No, this time we meet them farther out. Before they think we are ready, the warlord's fleet appeared near a dead system, the sky filled with his war banners glowing on every channel. His voice broadcast with laughter. "Come, little Earth, show your shadows. I will burn them with real fire." His ships spread in wide formation. Weapons charged, shields raised. He expected silence. He expected humans to wait until the last moment. Instead, the void split open. 20 human warships emerged from the dark side of a drifting asteroid. Their hulls black and silent. No banners, no songs, only stillness. The warlord sneered. "So few they send toys against me." He raised his hand and gave the order. "Advance!" The first clash was sudden. A human ship vanished and reappeared behind the warlord's formation. Its weapons cut through an escort in a single breath, then disappeared again into silence. The alien crews shouted in confusion. "Where are they? How do they move?" Their radars spun without answers. Another human ship struck from below, its beams slicing upward like a knife through fabric. Panic spread. "They do not fly like ships. They fly like ghosts," a captain screamed. The warlord roared with rage. "Hold formation. They are only tricks. Break them." But one by one his escorts burned, their wreckage floating like ash. And the black ships kept moving, not fast, not loud, but always precise, always patient. The warlord's pride turned into a heavy weight on his chest. His eyes wide. "This is not illusion," he whispered to himself. But his crew heard it, and their hearts cracked. On the station near Saturn, the commander watched the feeds in silence. His crew waited for celebration, but he did not smile. "Do not cheer yet," he warned. "This is only one warlord. The galaxy still watches. Every victory is also a challenge. More will come," one officer whispered. "But they are afraid now." The commander shook his head. "Fear is only the first step. Respect must follow, or they will unite against us." Back on the battlefield, the warlord's flagship trembled as its engines failed. Alarms screamed. His last order came with broken pride. Retreat. But his fleet had no strength left. The humans did not finish him with fire. Instead, they let his flagship drift, silent and broken. His voice cut across the galaxy, no longer proud, no longer laughing, only whispering. "They are real." That whisper reached taverns, markets, and councils. It spread faster than news, faster than credits. The galaxy listened because it came from a warlord who once swore humans were weak. Now he admitted the truth in smoky bars. Aliens turned their heads to the stars and wondered, if the humans can beat him, who else can they beat in the hidden station? The commander finally allowed a thin smile. They doubt us less now, he said. And that is the beginning of respect, the young pilot asked. Commander, will they ever stop coming? The commander's eyes stayed fixed on the dark beyond the glass. No, but let them come. Every test will only make us stronger. The galaxy's laughter had turned to silence. But silence itself was heavy. Everyone knew more storms were coming. Yet deep in that silence was something new. A seed of fear, a seed of respect, and a question that echoed in every hall of power. If humanity is already this strong while still young, what will they become when they are old? No one dared to laugh at that thought. They only listened to the silence. And the silence itself sounded like the march of an armada waiting for its next call. Whispers spread through the galaxy like wildfire. After the fall of the warlord and his mighty fleet, entire empires that once laughed at Earth began to sit in silence. Leaders of proud species held secret meetings. They spoke in hushed voices, their eyes darting around as if afraid the humans could hear even through the walls. One elder of a great council slammed his staff against the floor, his voice sharp. We cannot allow this young race to rise unchecked. Today they fight one warlord. Tomorrow they may challenge us all, another elder replied. And if we strike and fail, then the galaxy itself will bow to them. Arguments filled the chamber, until finally one cold voice broke through. We must test them again, but this time not with open fleets. This time with shadow and silence. Let us see if they can survive what they cannot see. And so a plan was born. Far away, Earth's secret stations caught fragments of strange signals, quiet codes hidden inside normal transmissions. The commander of Saturn Station leaned forward as his screen flickered. Someone is watching us, not with fleets, but with whispers, his aide frowned. Sabotage, the commander nodded slowly. Yes, sabotage. And spies. He stood and spoke to his crew. We faced their ships and won. But this battle will be different. No cannons, no fleets. Only shadows in the dark. In the heart of Earth, a small team of engineers worked on a massive new drive system, meant to make human ships leap farther than ever before. They worked in silence, under the oceans in a hidden chamber. But one day, a worker noticed something strange. A panel had been rewired, though no one admitted touching it. When the chief engineer asked, "Who changed this?" silence answered. The commander himself arrived to inspect. His eyes scanned the wires, his face hardened. This is not our work. Someone has touched us. The galaxy's spies had moved fast. Silent figures slipped into human networks. They spread lies. They tried to twist orders. They whispered false alarms into the ears of captains. One night, a pilot heard a message in her ear as she slept. It was her own voice repeating, "Do not trust your commander." She woke in sweat and rushed to her officer. "They are in our systems," she cried. The officer only nodded, "Yes." "They are trying to make us doubt each other." The sabotage grew bolder. A reactor on a hidden ship flared, almost tearing apart the vessel. Only quick action saved it when the crew fixed the damage. They found a small device buried in the wires, smooth and silver, not human at all. The commander held it in his hand. The glow of the alien device reflected in his cold eyes. "They want us to fear ourselves," he said, his voice steady, "but they forget who we are. Fear has been our teacher since the beginning." He closed his fist and crushed the device. The galaxy waited for Earth to stumble, for its fleets to fall apart from inside. But instead, something unexpected happened. Humans did not turn on each other. They grew closer. When one ship found a false order, it checked with another. When one reactor failed, other crews rushed to help. Pilots began to say, "If you hear something strange, report it. We fight shadows together." The sabotage meant to divide only united them more. Still, the enemy spies tried one last strike. They planted a code inside the new drive system. If activated, it would tear a ship apart when it jumped. The test was ready. Engineers gathered around as the reactor hummed. The commander watched from behind a glass wall. One engineer whispered, "Sir, What if it fails? The commander's eyes stayed fixed on the glowing core. Then we rebuild, but first we test, he gave the order. Activate! The drive roared, lights flashed. For 1 second it looked as if the ship would break apart. Alarms screamed, but then another light, smaller and calmer, cut through the chaos. A hidden line of code written by a young human programmer had caught the sabotage. It turned the false order back on itself, instead of exploding. The drive stabilized. The room fell silent. Then cheers filled the chamber. Across the galaxy, the ones who had planned the sabotage stared at their screens in disbelief. Their traps had failed, their shadows defeated by the very thing they thought was humanity's weakness. Trust! One elder slammed his staff again. Impossible, no young race could resist such tricks. But another elder whispered, perhaps it is not trickery that protects them. Perhaps it is something else. Back on Saturn Station, the commander addressed his crew, his voice calm but strong. They tried to break us with whispers. They tried to divide us with lies, but we stood together, and together we cannot be broken. The young pilot who once feared the voices asked, Sir, will they try again? The commander nodded. Yes, and harder than before, but remember this, every shadow falls when the light is strong enough. And we are that light. The galaxy had thought humans were weak because they were young. They thought fear and doubt would break them apart, but instead, humanity showed something more dangerous than weapons. They showed unity. And now, the galaxy understood a truth that chilled even the oldest of rulers. Weapons could be copied, ships could be built, but unity was harder than steel and brighter than fire. And in that unity, the Armada of Earth grew stronger, waiting for the next test, waiting for the next laugh to fade into silence. The galaxy was no longer laughing, it was watching. Whole councils that once joked about humans now gathered in silence. Traders who once mocked Earth now avoided speaking the word at all. Yet deep inside, pride and fear battled each other. The elders of several empires whispered in secret halls. One voice said, if shadows cannot break them, then perhaps fire will. Another replied, open war will unite them more. We must find a way to pull them apart. In that hidden meeting a plan was made, not to send a fleet or a spy, but something worse. They would send an offer. Far from those halls, Earth's commander stood inside Saturn Station, staring at the dark beyond the glass. His aide entered quickly and placed a message in his hand. Sir, a delegation has arrived. They are asking for talks. The commander raised an eyebrow. Talks? His voice carried no trust. Only caution, the aide nodded. They claim they come in peace. They want to speak about limits, about balance. The commander walked slowly to the meeting hall, his boots heavy on the floor. Inside sat 3 alien envoys. Their robes glittered with stars, their faces calm but their eyes sharp. One of them bowed and said, we come not with weapons but with wisdom. Humanity has risen fast, but rising too high will make the galaxy tremble. We offer you a place, a seat among us. If you agree to remain within certain bounds. The room fell quiet. The humans around the commander glanced at each other. One officer whispered, they want us to stop. The commander said nothing at first. He studied the envoys. Finally he asked, and if we refuse? The envoy's smile was polite but cold. Then the galaxy may see you as a threat, and when the galaxy unites, even your armada will drown. Silence pressed heavy. The commander leaned forward, his eyes steady. We are not asking for a seat at your table. We are building our own table. The envoy stiffened, but one of them chuckled softly. Do not be foolish. Your young race cannot stand against the weight of ages. Take the offer. Avoid the storm. The commander replied calmly. We are the storm. Later that night in the station's war room, officers debated fiercely. One said, Sir, their threat is clear. If they unite against us now, we cannot hold forever. Another argued, but accepting their limits is worse. It chains us forever. The room buzzed with fear and anger until the commander raised his hand. They are trying to divide us again, but this time with words, not shadows. They offer chains wrapped in silk, he paused. We will not wear them. Meanwhile, in the galaxy, rumors spread. Some empires said the humans had agreed to limits. Others said they had spat in the envoys' faces. Markets filled with speculation. Fear made credits rise and fall. But no one knew the full truth in one corner of space. An alien admiral who once feared the humans saw an opening. If they have enemies among the councils, then I can strike and no one will stop me, he told his crew. He gathered a secret fleet. His plan was simple. Strike at a human outpost far from Earth. Make it burn. Prove to the galaxy that humans can bleed. The fleet slipped through the dark and found a small human colony near a barren moon. Families lived there, miners and farmers who thought the war was far away. The alien admiral smiled. Crush them before their armada arrives. But he miscalculated. Hidden under the soil of that moon were 3 black ships, buried like seeds, waiting when the alien fleet opened fire. The ground itself shook and split. The black ships rose from the dust. Their cannons glowed. The admiral's smile vanished. Impossible. How did they know we would come? His navigator whispered in terror. They were waiting for us. The battle was swift. The alien fleet tried to retreat, but every path closed. Human ships herded them like hunters surrounding prey. Within minutes, half the fleet was gone. The admiral shouted, "Escape! Someone must tell the councils." But his words died when his own flagship shuddered under fire. His last vision was of a black ship rising before him, silent and endless, and then everything turned to light. Back on Saturn Station, the commander listened to the report. His face unreadable, one officer asked, "Sir, do we announce this victory? Do we show the galaxy?" The commander shook his head. "No, let the councils wonder. Let them fear not knowing." In the hidden halls of the councils, panic grew. One elder slammed his staff. They did not take the offer. They did not break under sabotage. And now they defeat fleets before we even hear of the battle. "What are these humans?" another elder whispered. "They are a storm we cannot measure. On Earth, families look to the stars. Children ask their parents, 'Will they come for us again?' And the parents answered, 'Yes, but we will be ready.'" The commander stood alone at the window of Saturn Station. Watching the silent black ships return to dock, he whispered to himself, "They wanted to test us with words, with fear, with war. But every test only makes us stronger." His reflection in the glass seemed to nod back at him, and in the far dark beyond the station, the galaxy watched, silent and uneasy, for it now knew the truth. Humanity could not be stopped with laughter, shadows or promises. Humanity had chosen its own path, and no chain in the galaxy could bind it. The galaxy had stopped laughing, but silence carried its own danger. In that silence, fear twisted into planning. Councils and rulers began to wonder if they should unite not in peace, but in secret war. Whispers filled great chambers, one voice said. "They grow faster than we thought if we wait." "We will be too late," another replied. "Strike now, and we may still control the fire." Yet no one agreed who should lead the attack. Each feared that if they failed, humanity would come for them first. On Saturn Station, the commander read reports that came across his desk like storm clouds. Scouts reported strange movements on the edge of human space. Caravans saw fleets gathering in shadows. Traders spoke of new alliances forming. His aide entered the room and asked, "Sir, do you think they will come as one?" The commander did not look up from the star maps. His finger traced routes of possible invasion. "Not yet. Pride will stop them. They will not trust each other. But when fear grows large enough—" "Yes, they will," he paused, his voice low. "And we must be ready before that day arrives." Meanwhile, far from Saturn, a human colony lived quietly on a green world, orbiting a red sun. Children played under tall trees. Farmers worked the soil, and miners dug deep into mountains. They believed the Armada protected them. They believed the war was far away, but in the shadows above the red sun, a coalition fleet gathered, not one empire but 3. Their ships cloaked and silent. They had made a fragile alliance for one purpose: to strike a blow that would break human spirit. In their war room, an alien captain hissed, "We strike fast. We strike hard, no survivors. Let the galaxy see that humans are not untouchable," another captain sneered. "If we succeed, fear will spread back to Earth itself." Night fell on the colony when the first alarm sounded. Streaks of fire crossed the sky as alien ships descended. People ran from their homes, voices cried in panic. "What is happening?" Miners rushed to shelters. Children clung to their parents. Then the ground shook with the first bombardment. Fire lit the fields, and silence was replaced with screams. The alien fleet commander smiled coldly. "Easy prey," he muttered. But his smile vanished when the ground itself began to split, hidden beneath the colony's soil. Black towers rose like blades, hangars opened in the mountains, and ships older colonists had never seen before lifted into the night. The alien captains shouted in shock. "Impossible! How can there be warships here?" The truth was simple. Earth had planted seeds of defense in every colony, silent guardians that waited, and now they woke. Black ships rose into the burning sky. Their cannons glowed. Their engines rumbled like thunder. The colony that seemed defenseless became a battlefield. The clash was brutal. Alien fleets unleashed volleys of fire. Human ships cut through with silent beams. Explosions lit the red sky. One colonist, hiding with her children, looked upward and whispered, "They came for us. They really came." The alien coalition tried to regroup, but their pride turned into fear. One captain screamed over the channel, "They are too many." "They were waiting for us," another shouted. "Fall back!" Fall back. But escape was no longer possible. The black ships herded them like hunters closing a trap. In the middle of battle, a strange twist came. One alien cruiser broke formation and turned its weapons not on humans, but on its own allies. A voice cut across the comms. "We will not die for this foolish pride." Betrayal shattered the coalition. Allies turned on each other in panic. The human commander of the colony fleet saw the chaos and ordered calmly, "Push them now!" Human ships moved in silence and precision, cutting down what remained. The last alien ship exploded above the red sky, leaving only burning wreckage drifting down like ash. When the fires calmed, the colony stood scarred but unbroken. Families stepped out of shelters and saw the black ships hovering above them like silent guardians. Children pointed and cheered. Our ship saved us, but the commander of the colony fleet did not cheer. He sent a message to Saturn Station, his voice steady but heavy. "They are testing us again, larger each time, and now they are working together if they unite fully. The storm will be greater than we imagine." On Saturn Station, the commander listened in silence, then turned to his officers. "The day will come when they no longer test us with raids. They will come as one, with all their fleets. But what they do not understand is that we have been preparing for that since the first laugh." His eyes narrowed as he looked out at the black hulls docked in the distance. "And when they come as one, they will find we have become something they never planned for." Across the galaxy, news of the failed coalition spread. But the story was worse than defeat. It was betrayal. Empires who had once trusted their allies now eyed them with suspicion. Whispers grew sharper. "If even allies betray each other, how can we unite against Earth?" What was meant to show weakness instead showed strength. What was meant to inspire laughter brought only silence. And silence was more dangerous than any weapon. That night, in the quiet of the colony, a child looked at the stars and asked her mother, "Will they laugh at us again?" The mother held her close and answered softly, "No, child, not again, not after tonight." And far above, the black ships drifted like shadows, their silent presence a reminder that humanity was no longer the joke of the galaxy. They were the storm waiting in the dark, growing stronger with every test, and when the final test came, the galaxy would remember not the laughter, but the silence that followed. The galaxy was restless. Silence stretched across star systems like a shadow too heavy to ignore. The failed coalition attack had left wreckage not only in space, but also in trust. Empires that once plotted together now whispered against each other. Their leaders sat in dark halls, wondering who had betrayed whom. Yet beneath the doubt, one truth burned brighter than all: humanity had survived again. And survival was more frightening than victory. On Saturn Station, the commander stood before a wide window. Stars reflected in his eyes like sparks of fire. His aide approached quietly and placed a report on the table. "Sir, more movements have been spotted. Fleets are gathering far from our borders. Their numbers are greater than anything we have seen." The commander did not turn, his voice calm but heavy. "Then the storm is closer than we thought." In secret chambers across the galaxy, the oldest councils gathered for one final decision. One elder raised his voice. "Every test has failed. Shadows failed, fleets failed, sabotage failed, offers failed. If we delay, they will become stronger still. We must unite." His words were answered with reluctant nods. Pride bent under fear, and at last a grand armada was declared. Thousands of ships from dozens of empires, a force so massive that even the stars seemed to shudder under its weight. Their plan was simple: strike Earth itself, end the humans before they could rise any higher. The news reached Saturn Station through spies and broken channels. Officers rushed into the war room, panic clear in their voices. "Sir, the entire galaxy is moving. Their fleets are gathering at one point." "Earth is their target," one young pilot asked, fear in her eyes. "Can we stand against them all?" Silence filled the room until the commander answered, his voice firm. "We will not stand. We will strike." His officers looked at him in shock. "Strike, but how?" He leaned over the star map. "They think Earth is waiting behind walls. They think we will only defend, but we will not give them that battle. We will take the fight to them before they reach us." Preparations began in silence. Shipyards opened, black hulls gleamed in hidden hangars. Engines roared for the first time. Entire crews stood ready. The Armada of Earth was no longer a rumor. It was real, and it was vast. One soldier whispered as he strapped into his seat. They laughed once. "But no one is laughing now," his commander replied. "No, they are only afraid." When the galaxy's united armada gathered near a dying star, they expected to move as one, banners flying, weapons charged. But before they could march, the void itself split. Black shapes emerged like shadows tearing open the night. Human ships, hundreds of them, then thousands, rising in silence. One alien admiral gasped, "Impossible! How can they have so many?" Another stammered, "They were hiding them everywhere, in every world, every moon." Fear swept through ranks before a single shot was fired. The battle began not with noise, but with silence. Human ships moved with precision, their weapons cutting through shields like thin cloth. The united armada tried to respond. Thousands of cannons roared, but their shots found only shadows. Human vessels weaved through fire with eerie calm, striking at weak points, dismantling fleets piece by piece. One alien shouted over comms, "They fight like they know our moves before we make them." His captain whispered back, "Maybe they do." In the heart of the fight, the commander's voice reached every human ship. "Hold steady, do not chase victory, chase survival. Every strike is a message. Humanity will not kneel." His words burned in the hearts of his crews, and they fought with patience, not rage, with precision, not chaos. The galaxy had united to crush them, but unity among enemies was thin. Cracks formed. One empire's ships pulled back. Unwilling to die for another's pride, others followed. And soon the so-called united fleet began to fracture. The humans pressed forward, not with arrogance, but with certainty. Ships moved like parts of one body, their formation flawless. Their strikes final, one by one. The galaxy's proudest vessels burned. The dying star above cast long shadows across drifting wreckage. And in those shadows the truth became clear. Humanity was no longer the weak newcomer. They were the storm itself. When the battle ended, the field was silent. The galaxy's greatest armada lay broken. Survivors fled in scattered directions. Their councils would never unite so easily again in the war room of Saturn Station. The commander listened to the final reports. His aide whispered, "Sir, we have done the impossible." The commander shook his head. "No, we did the necessary." He turned back to the stars. "And now they will never laugh again." Back on Earth, families looked up at the night sky, unaware of the scale of the storm that had passed. Children pointed at the stars with wonder. Mothers and fathers whispered prayers of thanks. And in that moment, humanity knew something deeper than victory. They knew they had changed the galaxy forever. Far away, an elder of a broken council sat alone, his voice trembling. "We thought they were small, but they were only quiet, and nothing is more dangerous than a storm waiting in silence." The laughter that once echoed through the galaxy was gone, replaced with respect, with fear, and with the weight of a new truth. Humanity had risen, and in rising, they had changed everything. The storm had come, and the galaxy would never be the same again.